Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I'm showing you this tomato pesto pizza. Usually around this time of year, we can get tomatoes in bulk from a local farmer. And this week we got 20 pounds of tomatoes. Of course, these fresh local tomatoes taste great on their own, but when you bake them on a pizza, it brings out their natural sweetness even more. So without further ado, let me show you the recipe. You'll start with any pizza crust you like. It could be store-bought, homemade, gluten-free, or whole wheat. Whatever you like, just pick your favorite. I'll put a link below the video with the one that I'm using. It's my favorite pizza crust recipe. Then instead of pizza sauce, I'm adding a layer of this pesto spread. You can use any pesto you like, but I'm making an oil-free version today. It starts with a couple cloves of garlic, and I'll pulse that in the food processor to give it a head start. Then this is optional, but I'm adding a small handful of walnuts, about an ounce. Next, I load up the food processor with tons of fresh basil. This was 3 bunches, which equaled about 3 packed cups. Then I also added a small handful of fresh parsley. Next, this is also optional, but I'm adding a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Then this is not a traditional pesto ingredient, but I think balsamic vinegar pairs beautifully with tomatoes, so I'm adding a little bit of balsamic vinegar. And finally, I'll add just enough water to get this to blend. I will have a blog post with all of the measurements linked in the description below the video. Once the pesto is done, I transferred it to a bowl temporarily while I prepared the beans. Don't worry about cleaning your food processor just yet. In the same food processor, I'm adding 2 cans of Great Northern beans that I've drained and rinsed. Last year when I came up with this recipe, I used tofu instead, so that would work as well. Again, I'm adding just enough water to get this to blend. If you're using tofu, you probably don't need to add any water at all because tofu has lots of water in it. If you're using beans, you'll want it to end up about the same texture as a really thick hummus. And then we'll add the pesto back in. You can use as much as you like, and like I said earlier, you can use whatever pesto recipe you love. The one that I just made ended up being just over a cup, and depending on how much you like that fresh basil flavor, you could add 3/4 of a cup to a cup of pesto. We'll blend it just enough to mix it into the white beans or tofu. Then spread a layer of this mix over your pizza crust. Again, it's your pizza, so add as much or as little as you like. I added a pretty thick layer to my pizza, and I still had some left over. You can use the extra as a sandwich spread, a pasta sauce, a base for a salad dressing, or of course, another pizza. Then I have those beautiful heirloom tomatoes and some red onions. I'm starting by spreading the onion all over the pizza. My family likes a lot of red onion. And then I'm adding slices of tomato, and you can use any kind of tomatoes, but since they are the star of this pizza, fresh local tomatoes will of course give you the best outcome. Then I'm baking this at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. If you prefer, you could also pre-bake your crust and then add the toppings and eat it with the toppings raw. Either way would be delicious, but I love how baking brings out the natural sweetness of those delicious tomatoes. So if you have an overabundance of tomatoes and basil this summer, I hope you give this one a try. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And this week we got 20 pounds of tomatoes.